the boundary's edge. The observation deck of Outpost Helios 9 offered a panoramic view of the void, a black canvas punctuated by distant stars that Lieutenant Commander Zoe Ishida had once found peaceful. Today, that endless expanse felt like a threat. "Lieutenant Commander, we've got something," called out Specialist Hayes, his voice cutting through the soft electronic hum of the bridge. "Contact at extreme range, bearing 227 Mark 043. Zoe moved swiftly to Hayes' station. "Classification? That's just it, ma'am. It's not registering properly." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a barely perceptible point of light moving against the star field. What made Zoe's breath catch wasn't the object itself, but the tracking markers beside it. "That velocity reading can't be correct," she said, leaning closer. "Run diagnostics." Hayes' fingers danced across his console. "Already did. Twice. The readings are accurate. Nothing should move that fast. Nothing. Full alert. Notify command. I want all sensors focused on that contact." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as alerts sounded throughout the station. Zoe turned to her XO, Lieutenant Reed. "Thoughts?" Reed's weathered face remained impassive. "Either our sensors are malfunctioning in some new and exciting way, or we're witnessing something beyond our technological understanding." "I was hoping for something more comforting," Zoe replied. "Comfort isn't in the job description out here on the fringe," Reed said with a shrug. Within minutes, the outpost's full complement of 23 personnel was at battle stations. Not that their weapons would matter if the object decided to maintain its current velocity and ram them. Physics alone would turn the collision into an extinction-level event. "Contact is decelerating," Hayes announced, surprise evident in his voice. It's dropping to sublight speed, ma'am." The tracking data adjusted, showing the object slowing at a rate that should have torn any conventional vessel apart. Visual confirmation. Coming through now. The main screen shifted, magnifying the distant object. What appeared wasn't anything Zoe recognized from human design or the handful of alien races humanity had encountered in its expansion into the stars. The vessel, if it could be called that, was obsidian black, its surface seeming to absorb rather than reflect light. Its form was asymmetrical, with geometries that hurt the eye to follow. "It's beautiful," whispered Communications Officer Lynn, breaking protocol. Zoe couldn't disagree, though terrifying would have been her chosen adjective. "Any transmissions? Recognition codes?" Lynn shook her head. "Nothing on standard frequencies. I'm trying alternative bands now." "Commander," Reed said quietly, "we should consider evacuating non-essential personnel. We're an observation outpost on the boundary of known space, Reed. Everyone here is essential." The vessel had now stopped completely, hanging motionless approximately 500,000 kilometers from Helios 9. Close enough to be a statement, far enough to be outside immediate weapons range, not that their defensive capabilities would likely matter. "Command is responding," Lynn announced. "Admiral Talbot wishes to speak with you." Zoe nodded. "In my office." "Reed, you have the bridge." In the relative privacy of her small office, the stern face of Admiral Talbot materialized on her screen. "Report, Lieutenant Commander. And please tell me this is a sensor malfunction." "I wish I could, sir. We've confirmed the readings. The object is definitely there, and it definitely was moving at impossible speeds." Talbot's face remained impassive, but Zoe caught the slight twitch in his eye. "What's it doing now?" "Nothing, sir. It's just waiting." "Your assessment?" Zoe chose her words carefully. "It's a demonstration, sir. Whatever built that ship wanted us to see what it could do." "You believe it's sentient?" "The precision of its stop suggests intelligent control. This wasn't random." Talbot sighed. "The diplomatic corps will have a field day with this. Political officers are already suggesting we avoid any actions that might be construed as hostile. With respect, sir, I believe any race capable of the technology we just witnessed would have little to fear from us." "Perhaps, but caution is still warranted. Monitor the situation. Do not engage unless provoked. I'm dispatching the DSV Hyperion to your location. ETA 18 hours. "Yes, sir." When she returned to the bridge, the atmosphere had shifted from controlled panic to uneasy fascination. "Status. No change, Commander," Reed reported. "It's just sitting there, like it's studying us." "Or waiting for something," Zoe added. "Keep all systems at ready status. I want—" "Commander," Hayes interrupted, his voice rising in pitch. "We're being scanned. Source: the vessel. But this isn't like any scan I've seen. It's Hayes trailed off as his console began to flicker, displays glitching with symbols that weren't part of any known language. Throughout the bridge, similar anomalies appeared on screens. The lighting flickered, the environmental systems hummed at a different pitch, and a subtle vibration could be felt through the deck plates. It's in our systems, Zoe realized aloud. Full lockdown. Sever all connections to the central computer. But it was too late. Every screen on the bridge suddenly displayed the same symbol, a complex, spiraling pattern that seemed to shift even as they watched it. "What is that?" Lynn asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Before anyone could respond, the symbol vanished, and the outpost's systems returned to normal. The relief was short-lived. "Commander, the vessel is moving again," Hayes reported. It's coming straight for us." Zoe watched as the obsidian craft accelerated toward Helios 9 with deliberate intent. There was nowhere to run, no way to fight back against something this advanced. "All hands, brace for." She didn't finish her sentence. The vessel stopped a mere kilometer from the station, now clearly visible through the observation windows. Up close, its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on any one part of its structure. Then, without warning, a pulse of energy emanated from the craft. It wasn't destructive, at least not in any conventional sense, but as it washed over the station, Zoe felt a strange distortion, as if reality itself was being warped. The last thing she remembered before consciousness slipped away was the sound of Reed's voice, tinny and distant, saying something about the boundary's edge, and then darkness claimed her. Beyond the veil, Dr. Caden Voss had spent his entire career studying theoretical dimensional physics, but he never expected to witness his theories manifesting in reality. Yet, here he stood on the bridge of the research vessel Prometheus, staring at what could only be described as a tear in the fabric of space-time. "How long has the anomaly been stable?" he asked, unable to take his eyes off the swirling vortex that shimmered before them like a dark, iridescent curtain against the backdrop of space. Captain Nisha Patel consulted her datapad. "Approximately 36 hours since we arrived. According to what's left of Helios 9's logs, it appeared immediately after their encounter with the unidentified vessel." Caden nodded absently, his mind racing with implications. 3 days ago, Outpost Helios 9 had reported contact with an unknown craft moving at impossible speeds. By the time Prometheus had arrived, they'd found the station adrift, systems barely functional, and half the crew missing, including Lieutenant Commander Ishida. The remaining personnel were found unconscious, with no memory of what had transpired after the mysterious ship had approached. And then there was this, a spatial anomaly unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Dr. Voss called Science Officer Talia Reeves from her station. "The readings are changing. The anomaly's energy signature is fluctuating." Caden moved quickly to her side. "Show me." The display confirmed what Talia had said. The anomaly was pulsing, its boundaries expanding and contracting rhythmically. "It's almost like it's breathing," Talia whispered. "Or something on the other side is," Caden replied, immediately regretting his words when he saw the fear flash across the young officer's face. Captain Patel joined them, her composure intact but tension evident in the set of her shoulders. "Dr. Voss, you're our expert. What are we looking at?" "I believe we're witnessing a controlled rupture in dimensional space," Caden said. "Something or someone has breached the barrier between our universe and elsewhere." "Elsewhere?" Patel questioned. "Another dimension. A parallel reality. Perhaps something even more exotic." Caden gestured to the data flowing across Talia's screen. "These energy patterns suggest deliberate manipulation rather than a natural phenomenon. So whatever that ship was," Patel began, "it created this. Or it came through it," Caden corrected. "Though which happened first is impossible to determine without more data. Which we need to collect," said Executive Officer Marcus Huang, who had been silently observing until now. "Captain, we should launch a probe." Patel considered this. "Dr. Voss, would that be safe?" "Define safe," Caden said with a humorless smile. "Nothing about this situation falls within standard parameters. But yes, I believe we can safely deploy a probe to collect more detailed readings." The captain nodded. "Make it happen." Within 20 minutes, they had launched a Class 4 scientific probe toward the anomaly. The bridge crew watched in silence as it approached the shimmering rift. "Receiving telemetry," Talia reported. "Radiation levels nominal." No signs of dangerous particle emission. The probe is. She was interrupted by a sharp alarm from her console. On the view screen, the probe had reached the boundary of the anomaly and now appeared to be stretching, its structure elongating impossibly as it was drawn into the rift. Pull it back, Patel ordered. No response to recall commands, Talia said, her fingers flying over her controls. It's being pulled in. They watched helplessly as the probe distorted and finally disappeared into the anomaly. For several seconds, there was nothing but silence. Telemetry lost, Talia finally said. Not lost, Caden corrected, pointing to a small reading on her screen. Look, we're still receiving data, but it's changed. The information streaming back was unlike anything their instruments were designed to interpret. Equations and models spontaneously formed and reformed on Talia's screen as the computer struggled to make sense of what the probe was experiencing. These readings, Caden murmured. They're consistent with a space operating under different physical constants. The probe is still functioning, but it's somewhere else entirely. Another universe? Patel asked. Possibly. Or some space between universes. A new alarm sounded, this one louder and more urgent. Energy spike within the anomaly, Talia reported, her voice tight with tension. Something's happening. The rift pulsed violently, expanding outward in a sudden surge that made everyone on the bridge instinctively step back. Then, as quickly as it had expanded, it contracted, but not before something emerged. It wasn't the probe. The object that drifted out of the anomaly was spherical, approximately 2 meters in diameter, and composed of what appeared to be the same light-absorbing material as the ship that had approached Helios 9. Full defensive protocols, Patel ordered. Shields up. Captain, Caden said urgently, I don't think. The sphere suddenly emitted a pulse of energy that rippled through the ship, passing through the shields as if they weren't there. Every electronic system on the Prometheus flickered simultaneously. Our defenses will work, Caden finished unnecessarily. The sphere remained motionless for several seconds, then began to transform. Its surface rippled and flowed, reshaping itself into a vaguely humanoid form, a silhouette of darkness with limbs and a head, but no distinguishable features. Is it attempting communication? Marcus asked. Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge changed to display the same symbol, a complex, spiraling pattern identical to what the Helios 9 survivors had described seeing before losing consciousness. And then a voice filled the room, not from the ship's communication system, but seeming to emanate from the air itself. It spoke in no language Caden recognized, yet somehow he understood its meaning. Boundary breached. Assessment in progress. Your reality has been marked. We mean no harm, Captain Patel said, displaying remarkable composure. We are peaceful explorers. The dark figure tilted what passed for its head. Your designations are irrelevant. The infinitum expands. Your dimension has been selected. Selected for what? Caden asked. Integration. With that single word, the figure dissolved back into a sphere and retreated toward the anomaly. As it reached the boundary, it paused and emitted another pulse, stronger than before. This time, the effects were immediate and catastrophic. The ship lurched violently, throwing everyone to the deck. Emergency alarms blared as systems throughout the vessel began to fail. Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Marcus shouted over the chaos. Engineering reports critical power fluctuations. Caden pulled himself up using a nearby console, his eyes fixed on the readings from the anomaly. It's expanding again, but differently. The dimensional boundaries are becoming unstable. Captain Patel staggered to her feet. Can we get away from it? It's not just affecting local space anymore, Caden replied, horror dawning as he understood what was happening. The tear is propagating along higher dimensional axes. Distance won't matter. What does that mean in practical terms, Doctor? Patel demanded. Caden met her gaze steadily. It means what we're witnessing isn't just a portal to another dimension. It's the beginning of a merger between our reality and theirs. The sphere disappeared back into the anomaly, which continued to grow, pulsating with increasing intensity. We need to warn Earth, Patel said. Send everything we've learned, everything we know about this. Infinitum. Communications are down, Talia reported, her voice tight with fear. We're completely cut off. The ship shuddered again as the anomaly's influence spread. Through the view screen, they could see space itself beginning to distort, stars shifting and blurring as if viewed through rippling water. Captain, Marcus called out, his voice hushed with disbelief. new contacts appearing all around us. The view screen shifted to show what lay beyond the anomaly, dozens, perhaps hundreds of objects emerging from the rift. Some resembled the original vessel that had approached Helios 9, while others were completely different in design, but all shared the same light-absorbing material and impossible geometries. It wasn't just an encounter, Caden realized. It wasn't even an invasion. It was an absorption, one reality consuming another. "They're coming through," he whispered. "All of them." The largest of the vessels, a massive construct that dwarfed the Prometheus, moved to the front of the formation. As it did, another message resonated through the ship. "The boundary falls. Your reality is claimed by the infinitum. Resistance is meaningless, for we are not conquerors. We are inevitability." Captain Patel turned to Caden, her expression grim but determined. "There must be something we can do." Caden stared at the armada of impossible ships, his mind racing through every theory, every concept he had ever studied. There was one possibility, desperate and theoretical, but not completely without hope. "The anomaly works both ways," he said slowly. "If we can send a feedback pulse through our probe, which is still transmitting from the other side, we might destabilize the breach, at least temporarily." "Do it," Patel ordered without hesitation. As Caden and Talia worked frantically to reconfigure their systems, the ship continued to deteriorate around them. The very structure of the Prometheus seemed to be shifting, metal and composites warping in ways that defied conventional physics. "The probe is receiving our signal," Talia reported. "Initiating feedback pulse now." A beam of concentrated energy shot from the Prometheus toward the anomaly, targeting the precise coordinates where their probe had disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the rift convulsed violently, its edges fluctuating wildly. The vessels emerging from it faltered, their movements becoming erratic. "It's working," Marcus exclaimed, but their victory was short-lived. The largest vessel reoriented itself and emitted a counterpulse that collided with their beam. The resulting explosion of energy enveloped the Prometheus, bathing the bridge in blinding light. When it faded, Caden found himself standing alone on the bridge. Everyone else had vanished. The ship around him was intact but transformed, its surfaces now incorporating the same dark, reality-bending material as the alien vessels. Beyond the view screen, the stars had changed, their positions unfamiliar, their light tinged with colors that shouldn't exist. A figure appeared before him, the same featureless silhouette from before, but now accompanied by others, a silent congregation of shadow beings. "Your resistance is noted," the voice said. "Your comprehension is sufficient. You will serve as witness to the integration." "Witness to what?" Caden demanded. "The end of your reality," came the reply, "and its rebirth as part of the infinitum." The figures gestured toward the view screen, which now showed Earth, but an Earth transformed, its continents reshaped, its atmosphere swirling with new colors, and its orbit surrounded by countless dark vessels. "The process has already begun," the voice continued. "What you call time flows differently across the boundary. Your warning would have changed nothing." Caden fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the enormity of what he was witnessing. Humanity's exploration of space had inadvertently attracted the attention of something beyond comprehension, an entity or civilization that existed beyond the constraints of their universe. And now, that entity had not just found them, it had claimed them. "This is not extinction," the voice said, as if sensing his despair. "This is transformation. Your species will continue, but as part of something greater." As Caden watched, unable to look away, the view screen showed more rifts opening across the solar system, more vessels emerging, more of reality being reshaped by forces beyond human understanding. The boundary between worlds had fallen, and what lay beyond had come through. The infinitum had arrived.